Okay, guys, welcome back to Redneck Ranting. It is Friday the 15th of March. I wasn't going to do another video this soon. I'm trying to keep myself on kind of a relaxed schedule at this point. But then I woke up at 4:30 in the morning for my job. And like everybody else in the world with internet access, I learned about the New Zealand shooting. Now, on the off chance that you somehow are unaware of this, what happened is that a guy walked into a mosque in New Zealand, which, by the way, is a country with fairly strict gun laws, which do not allow you, among other things, to own guns for the purposes of personal defense. You can't have them for self-defense. And I'm not going to get into the right or wrong of that. Okay, I'm going to focus on this monstrous, disgusting, horribly barbaric, cowardly act. Now, before we get into this, excuse me, I told myself I wasn't going to alcohol this morning, and then I started my day by reading a story about 5-year-old unarmed children getting murdered while at worship. So I'm getting my alcohol on. Now, before I get any deeper into this, let me be clear about something. I am not a fan of Islam, okay? I don't bear any personal ill will towards any individual Muslim. I believe in taking people on a one-to-one basis. I'm sure that there are wonderful, warm, caring Muslim people. I know for a fact that there are. I've encountered many of them in my time. However, I do not agree with the ideology of Islam. I do not believe that it is compatible with certain core American secular values, specifically equality of speech, equality of creed, equality of sex, equality of sexual orientation. I have seen enough empirical evidence to convince me that the ideology of Islam is in direct diametric opposition to what I consider to be very fundamental core values of what makes America such a wonderful place. And these are values which have nothing whatsoever to do with religion. They are not Christian values. They are not Jewish values. I myself am a member of the Wiccan faith. They are just what I believe to be basic universal human values, okay? And I believe that the ideology of Islam is in direct opposition to those, and so I have a very severe problem with it. Now, that being said, when I first saw this news story, my initial thought, my immediate gut reaction was, I wish I had been there with my gun, because I don't know that I would have stopped the guy, but I know for an ironclad fact that he would have had to spend bullets stopping me from stopping him. And whatever else happened, that would have been ammunition that wouldn't have gone into some innocent, unarmed woman or some defenseless child who wasn't bothering anybody or wasn't hurting anybody and was just going to pray and exercise their right to equality of creed and their right to pray according to the dictates of their conscience. Okay? I don't agree with the ideology of Islam. However, this was a disgusting, horrible, monstrous, inhuman, cowardly act. This was the act of a rabid animal. Actually, I'm not even going to go there, okay? I retract that statement, because this son of a bitch knew precisely what he was doing. This was the act of someone who has demonstrated that they no longer deserve to be on the planet. I have mixed feelings about the death penalty. This son of a bitch and anybody else who was in league with him needs a rope and a lamppost. And honestly, I would buy a raffle ticket. I'd buy a bunch of raffle tickets to be one of the guys hauling him up off his toes. Though, in fairness, I think that privilege should go to the people who actually lost loved ones in his barbaric, disgusting, subhuman, cowardly, degenerate act of violence. Feel however you want about a religion, okay? My wife is a Christian, and there are things I disagree with about her religion. I have friends who are Jewish. There are things I disagree with about the Jewish faith. They disagree with certain aspects of my religion. However you feel about an ideology or the behavior of its adherents and any perceived attempts that they may be making to alter your society in ways that you disapprove of, you absolutely do not deal with it by walking into a place of worship and putting a rifle bullet into a child. You don't murder babies because you disagree with how their elders are acting, okay? If there is an immediate threat, if an adult comes at you in violence or comes at someone you deem under your protection in violence, you neutralize the threat by however you have to, okay? But if somebody is at church and they're praying, then maybe the only person they're bothering is God, because, hey, who knows? Maybe God's reading a comic book and doesn't have time right now, but it's his job, okay? They're not trying to harm you. They're not doing anything except exercising their right to pray according to the dictates of their conscience, which I believe to be a fundamental, universal human right. And you do not deal with whatever problem you may have with them with the ammunition box. You use the ballot box. If you start shooting first, you do not deserve to live, okay? If your way of handling the problem is to walk into a place full of innocent, unarmed non-combatants and start murdering them wholesale. This son of a bitch shot 50 human beings who weren't bothering him, who are no immediate threat to him. At that point, you are superfluous to the needs of society. You deserve a bullet. Fuck you. Now that I've made my opinion very clear on that, the other thing I want to address is some of the media reaction I've been seeing. People are saying that this guy was a conservative. They're trying to blame this shit on Trump and on the Republicans and on the NRA, which, you know, fucking Ocasio-Cortez really was flying her fuckwit flag on that one, trying to blame the NRA for this. Honey, the NRA doesn't operate in fucking New Zealand, okay? They're a strictly American organization. They have nothing to do with New Zealand. This was not a Trump thing. This was not a Republican thing. This was not an American conservative thing. This was not a National Rifle Association thing. Okay? This guy put out a manifesto. And in it, he very explicitly says, I am not a conservative. Conservatism is corporatism, and I don't adhere to that. He very clearly said he is not a conservative. He described him as an eco-fascist, whatever the fuck that is. And his express intent in doing this, in performing this sick, subhuman act of bloody-minded cowardice and weakness. Because if you murder a child, you're a weakling, okay? That doesn't make you strong. It makes you the weakest sort of filth. And I'd really like to introduce you to my personal skill with a pistol, okay? He did this in an effort to interfere with the American socio-political process. He very explicitly says in his manifesto that his hope is that the end result will be that Americans on the left will push for still more gun control. Excuse me. And as an American who is a gun owner and has a concealed carry permit, I can tell you that we are already getting pretty fucking fed up. And you can see the no further line from where we're standing behind us, okay? But he was hoping that this would push American leftists into pushing for still more gun control, and that it would be the final straw, and American gun enthusiasts would say, no, we're done compromising, we're done giving up our rights, we're done giving up our property. Enough. If you want them, come get them. And that would result in an open-armed shooting civil war here in the United States. So basically what this guy was trying to do was he was trying to spark off an armed civil war, and he was trying to further the balkanization of America to the point where people actively started murdering each other in the streets. Don't give him the fucking satisfaction. I understand the tempers are very hot right now. People like myself who are not fans of Islam are coming out in support of these poor people. There are other people, and these people need to shut up, who are saying, well, that's what you get. This is revenge for, X, Y, Z, and other letters of terrorist attacks which were legitimately committed by Islamic terrorists. These people had nothing to do with that, okay? The perpetrators of those terrorist acts either died or are being pursued by the courts of justice, okay? These people were in another country halfway around the world, not bothering anybody, praying. So if you come out and say, well, they deserved it because people who pray the way they do did all this other horrible shit, and yes, those acts of terrorism were terrible, despicable, cowardly acts in their own right. If you say that those actions justify an act of domestic terrorism involving the wholesale murder of babies and women, then you are just as evil as the guy pulling the trigger, and I would be just as happy. No, not just as happy, because freedom of speech is a thing, but I would probably laugh my ass off if you fell down an up escalator, okay? I wouldn't wish harm on you because that's against my faith, but there's nothing that says I couldn't laugh my ass off if something harmful happened to you, all right? Do not give this scumbag, this weak, cowardly, feral thing, the satisfaction, okay? Do not buy in to his attempts to further widen the divide between us. Reach out to your neighbors, particularly the ones you disagree with, and say, you know what, man? I disagree with you, but at the end of the day, you're my countryman. I don't like what you stand for, but I got your back, okay? Shake their hands, have a beer, play some cards, all right? I am a vehement anti-Islamist, and tonight on my way home, I stopped off for pizza, and there was a Muslim lady in line as I was getting my food, and I walked over to her, and when I'm in my outside clothes, I actually look a little bit scary and homeless, and I said, excuse me, ma'am, I'm sorry to bother you. I just wanted to let you know I am very sorry for what happened to those poor people in New Zealand. I am very sorry that your co-religionists were harmed that way. All right? Do not give in to the hate. Do not give in to the anger. Do not start pointing fingers. Okay? Be calm and save your anger and your outrage for its proper target, which is this degenerate piece of, God, I can't even come up with any more words. This degenerate wretch who decided that the best way to push his agenda, his sick agenda, was to murder innocent women and babies. Okay? It's the weekend. A lot of us are off. A lot of us are going to have time on our hands. Think. Spend your time thinking. Spend your time focusing on the good things. Have some pizza. Have a beer. Talk to your neighbors. Make friends with people. Focus on the positive. Here in the United States, it's St. Patrick's Day on Sunday. Go out and have a beer and listen to some good music. Do a little bit of dancing, you know? But don't give in to the hate. Don't give in to the anger. Do not give in to the attempts at balkanization. All right? That's all I got for now. Be well. Be safe. Be good to each other. I'll talk to you next time.